Hello, Enrique Ashkabuk here. I am a woman who rules with a new leaf. I just want to talk and share about about talk about full circle, about things coming full circle. Uh, Just right now, Canada is in a season where it needs to look to its Indigenous people. North America needs to look to the Indigenous people and consult Indigenous people to to how to be good stewards. Creator had us here on in North America, brought us here to North America to and showed us how to live here in North America, and we lived here for um, about 10,000 years, over 10,000 years, uh, living on this land. Learning this land. Creator showed us how to live here and how to live on this land and how to survive here in North America. And in 1492, Christopher Columbus came and discovered peoples living in Americas in the Caribbean. And from that day, that was our D Day, a day that indigenous peoples, have been struggling with being conquered and lied to and deceived and killed and murdered, and since 1492, indigenous, you know, indigenous peoples in North America. Um, that's only for how long we've been facing the effects of colonialism and imperialistic powers that, in the Imperial British Empire and Spain and France and the Dutch during in the 13th century and 12th century. For they would fight over the power and dominion, and ruling and expanding their empires and conquering and conquest. That's a lot of in history where a lot of Europeans have going around and colonized. Indigenous people have only been affected by this colonization for about 500 years in North America. But a lot of indigenous populations around the world have been dealing with 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 um with colonization and with colonizers and conquistadors and conquerors and empires, taking over their territories and lands. In India, um, people have been dealing with the British for far longer than we have in North America, uh, and bringing their armies, because the whole thing that brought Christopher Columbus to the Americas was so that they could further exploit the people in India for their spices and for their fine silks and spices, and to bring them back, and to for the kings and the queens and emperors and lords, and for people. So they would send people out to go and explore and to go and look for new places to exploit and conquer. And in North America, that's been happening for just about 500 years, just a little over, or just around 500 years. So, and in Canada right now, actually around the world, say that we're facing a environmental crisis, that our environment, that the world, the habitat, this world, this planet that we live in, is pretty sick right now. It's got a pretty bad virus and doesn't want to. And those that, the virus is pretty strong. It's pretty deadly, pretty infectious. It's just seems to be getting worse and worse. And when I'm gonna say in Jamestown, I'm gonna talk a little bit about Jamestown and Pocahontas. And her name was actually and Watu, but and Watu wasn't even Pocahontas, but and so, not so much talk about Pocahontas, but just talk about the Powhatan people and the Chief Powhatan, who was there, the primary chief over of this democracy of like 30 nations, 30 communities. At that time, he was the primary leader of of about 30 different nations that came together and joined together to support and fight off and keep off enemies and build a secure and peaceful, peaceful, peaceful time. And then these people came, Europeans came, and they came across the ocean, and they came here and they were starving and sick and had diseases and had sicknesses, could vitamin C, scurvies, a lot of things, and they were starving and hungry, very malnourished. And the indigenous people, their Powhatan people, that they encountered, saw that these people were sick and needed some help and needed to learn about how to live here in North America. So they helped the Europeans that came to settle, and Powhatan thought that he'd arrange a marriage because that's how things were done, to build an alliance. And but Eurocentric ideas didn't recognize that as an alliance between leaders and for securing peaceful negotiations. Instead of recognizing the nations of people that were here. And this woman married in what she thought was in an arrangement, an agreement to protect and preserve her people and to build a stronger trading relationship, an agreement, an alliance between nations. That's what this arranged marriage was supposed to be, an agreement. But because of the language barrier and misinterpretation and all that kind of stuff, a lot of myths and things have been confused between that, and that agreement isn't really honored by the non-indigenous, by the non-Powhatan, by the European side of the agreement. It wasn't seen as an arrangement. John Wolfe is just someone that came here to exploit indigenous. This was the idea of Europeans, was to come and exploit indigenous peoples, for their lands and resources, and but not really recognize and honor the agreements and that were made, with no intentions of honoring agreements that were made a long time ago. It's just get rid of the Indians, get rid of the problem, They're not people anyways. We weren't recognized and treated as people because we didn't live like how they lived. They would see that how we lived wasn't very uh what you can say developed, that we weren't fully exploiting the land and making full use of the land in terms of development and on that sort of thing. Uh, but here we are again now. This has come full circle. Europeans didn't listen to us then, in terms of how to take care of this planet, how to take care of this land, and how to live here in balance. Indigenous people have no problem with developing and with getting the most out of the land and living in balance. And but the thing is that the development and invention and innovation and life needs to be sustaining. We are interested in sustaining life, and here we are now. For a long time our voice hasn't been heard, and this this beautiful land that we live in here in North America is getting sick, is becoming dirty and um, poisoned and sick because there's no checks and balances in put in place. No, and the checks and balances that are put in place are not even honored or respected. So here we are now. Indigenous peoples now have a voice that can be heard, and it's time to start listening to the Indigenous peoples here in Canada. It's not that we're against development. We're not going to stop every little thing, but we want to make sure that the work that's what is being done is going to be good for our future generations, because we are here on this earth and we only borrow this time here on earth from our future. If we want to sustain a life for our grandchildren, for our children, we can't continue to live like this way, like it's not going to affect them. we we need to make a conscious effort, even in the small little things every day that we can do to try and be conscious of looking after, doing what we can to look after this planet, whether it be because right now what I really think needs to happen and could happen is a Turtle Island Waste Management Corporation that is run by Indigenous peoples throughout Canada, and in all the respective that the Indigenous communities, and they would be responsible for cleaning up the landfill sites, because we are here to be good stewards of this land and to look after and take care of it and take care of this land. So um, I think that's where we can start coming up together in our each communities in each area take responsibility for the landfills, and take responsibility for the waste management companies and recycling and reprocessing a lot of the stuff. A lot of money is to be made. The indigenous people can and prosper and bring health and healing to our land and prosper if we clean up our landfill sites, reprocess, because this stuff is not breaking down. This stuff is there, seems to be lasting, so let's reprocess it until it's dust, till it can't be used anymore, and then it becomes back to dust where it came from. We can reprocess plastic, reprocess metals, reprocess glass, reprocess all of this stuff. Take it, clean it up, reprocess it, build new products, new plastic, and we can have policies and in our place for companies and corporations in our company, bottling companies, corporations, Procter and Gamble, um, all these companies that make shampoo bottles and dish soap, and that these plastics and stuff like that can be made one-use items, and that we can have here. And for the waste management, we could have the one bin where all of this stuff is collected and reused, washed out, that the stuff is taken back to the companies that distribute their shampoo and all that kind of stuff. And at Walmart, on the stores that have their brands, their store brands, um, we can send them back their plastics, and they can wash them out, rinse them out, sanitize them, and refill them again with the shampoo or dish soap or hand soap or shaving cream, gels, uh, hair gels, all these stuff that can. And it same thing with food. It can, a glass jar can be refilled with some more sauce, and recycled with more sauce if the sauce is taken back to the thing. A long time ago, mason jars, they all looked the same. They just had a different label on them. So we can have these jars be reused, recycled. When the glass gets broken, it can be reprocessed and recycled. So stuff like that. So you can't for accidents and mistakes that happened. But this is one big huge way, to get rid of a lot of this garbage and waste. Reprocessing a lot of, and say recalling cars and remanufacturing cars so that they can be green, and giving back, making companies responsible with our policies, and coming back full circle. A long time ago, they needed our help in the non-indigenous peoples in Jamestown. They needed our help, and they needed our help to show them how to live here in North America. And now here we are again, and we have a voice now. We have a voice, and our voice. It is time now that our voice can be heard. But it can't be done in anger and hostility. It's got to be done in hospitality, in truth and integrity, and in hospitality. We can't be looking for revenge, or to be spiteful or vengeful, or because we've been wrong for so long that we can be wrong back. It's time to live in true truth and reconciliation, and appreciate what non-indigenous people have brought here to Canada, to the Americas. And because not all of them were bad. Not all of them had the intention of conquering it. They were just tools, and they were lied to also. And for those that wanted to bring the gospel message, those that were walking in truth, did it properly. And it was confusing when one group would use his name for conquering, and the other ones were truly looking to establish relationship with indigenous peoples, and other peoples were looking for to and greed, and conquering and conquest, and they, this was a way it can be done. So right now I would like to call out and have Indigenous leaders rise up and use their wisdom in gentleness and meekness and and truth and integrity and peace and peaceful negotiation and peaceful leadership and taking back our nation in the peaceful right way. And when I think about how Nelson Mandela did and dealt with the apartheid system in the 80s after being jailed, for 25 years, I believe it was. And then he was finally released, and he brought the people were warring, but he brought the people to peaceful. He brought peace and spoke to the people. I was like, hey, we can use our voice, we can use our vote to take back our nation, one vote. And he changed the policies in making it one vote for one person, one vote. And it was how he was elected, and he became elected, and peace in that nation, and they're able to prosper together. Education, the English, and surviving. So this is one area, in some instance, in how it can work here in Canada. Indigenous people's voice are growing. There are many of us, and there are many non-Indigenous peoples that support and that feel sympathetic to our cause, and we don't want to dissuade them from the cause of emancipation and liberating Indigenous peoples, and stop them from supporting us, in getting in government and having elected leaders and having people in the House of Commons, so that we can appoint people to the Senate, and we can have the Supreme Court of Canada, and we can have our lawyers and judges, be on the Supreme Court of Canada with a veto vote, and be involved in policy making and legislation and all these kind of ways, because this is how it has to be done, because we are part of a world system now. And Indigenous, we cannot throw all the white people out, or non-Indigenous people. That's just not practical. But we can live together and live in unity, and show them how to live here, and show how we can prosper and sustain and keep this planet and live on this planet for generations and generations and generations and generations to come. There doesn't have to be an end. um we can live here in health and prosperity for an eternity, and have our generations live. But what kind of legacy do you want to leave? What kind of legacy do you want to leave for your ancestors, that that Indigenous people couldn't reconcile, couldn't get past the hate, couldn't be healed, and get past, and get into get past all of this stuff, and living in the past? Well, yeah, all this stuff has happened, and all these experiences have happened, and guess what, Indigenous peoples, we are still here, and we are still here. We are resilient. We should be proud, and let's get up, and let's be proud of who you are, because we are here, and we can be proud, and we can share our pride in joy and humility and kindness and gentleness, and we can share it with respect, and using wisdom and truth Like kindness goes a long, long way, and integrity and truth goes a long, long way. We are not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but if we can work together and collaborate and work together in peaceful and have our voices heard without, yes, have passion, but we don't need to be angry and bitter and have disdain, but we can have peace and if we work with those that are working with us now, and then the rest of the population will see that, yeah, this is a good way to do things, and we can see that, oh, that, yeah, this is good, this is cleaning, listening to people who have ideas. And so we can make our policies, we can make the legislation, we can make these things that happen in our government. Like right now, my cousin Ariel Deranger is, with the caucus, and she's done a lot in the UN and advocating for in the indigenous and the ecology, and making the government responsible, and this bill 132, and with these addendums and things, and recognizing the indigenous voice, and not trading carbon, and not making a carbon emissions a tradable, like it's a currency. And this is something that she wants to get away from, that market system of protecting our planet and making it a market. And but we need to offer solutions for the energy problem, energy crisis. We need to take the initiative and get up and do work. um get up and do the work that it takes to get these things done. Get up and be on time for appointments, for meetings. Show up to meetings, and be there, and offering respect, and sharing our voice. Speaking calmly. We don't need to be shouting and yelling. Yeah, we can speak with passion and truth and integrity. But shouting and yelling and blaming and shaming does not get anything done. Doesn't move or motivate anybody to do better. It just makes them feel worse, and then we become anger, and our nation becomes depressed because we don't feel good. But if we can say, hey, this is I see this is nice. But I think we need to find a way that is not going to hurt our water, our land. We can do it this way. The sun and wind are free. We can look more, and every house in Canada can have solar and wind power. Every public building. There's no need for nuclear energy. We can install in better battery technology, storing the energies that we do harness, and looking to improve battery, and making companies responsible, and in our policies and legislation, so that it's not a consumer waste, making organizations responsible with policies. Like if you're going to sell computers in our country, well, your computers need to be durable, have little things on the corners, and guarantee your warranty. Not building products so that it breaks 2 months, so that you have a warranty, and that it'll malfunction after that warranty is up. And or when somebody has a warranty, the warranty isn't really honored. Or we should be able to have a guarantee that we can go to the place where we get a cell phone or a device, or whatever, and that it should have a case that's durable, be made water resistant, and if something happens that is defective, then we should be able to go take it to the store and have it replaced with a minimal fee, paying those people that work and repair it or exchange it, all of that kind of stuff. Minimal minimal service fees like knife sharpening and all these little things that people used to do. Um, the artisan, that could be the new artisan. Like the technical people are the new artisans. Like when we used to have our people had boots and shoes. They had like um they had like maybe two, three, or four, maybe five boots or shoes, and those boots and shoes, when they wore out or broken or something happened to them, it would be taken to a cobbler, and the shoe would be repaired, fixed, holes patched, whatever. The boots would be fixed and repaired, and you would be able to wear them again. It wasn't just have, like right now, I have like I don't know, like 20, I don't know, 20 shoes here in a house that are broken, falling apart, glues, whatever, because the stuff isn't made durable and made lasting and with quality, because we got to get as much stuff out as we can rather than paying a good price for a good product. We're going to charge a large price for something that doesn't work well, and then we got to buy another one, creating more thing. And this kind of market is just destroying our 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 planet, the place that we live, this planet that creator gave us to live in. And we are not honoring it, letting mammon, letting the money rule. So here we are. I just ask that indigenous peoples, we get together and talk and think about waste management and how we contribute to that, and how we could institute change and put on our moccasins and our mucklucks and clean up this land and get out there and get the work done, and policies, get leadership out there, and let's show our people how to, because we are sick. People are sick here. Our land, our nation, our land is getting sick, and we need to show people how to live here again. And right now we're at a time where it's possible they can listen, they can hear us, because we have the tools. We have social media. We can talk and and inform people of truth. You don't have to take everything that I say as at face value. I suggest that you go and do, like, I done my research, I done my reading. I look at the news articles. I look at these things, and I check the sources. I don't just take at something that says something and I agree and I like it and share it without even vetting the source, testing the source. And that's making informed decisions about what you do. And corporations and companies, like, there's a lot of documentaries, like we have things here on Netflix, like watch the Rotten series or the Great Hack. These are two things that can really might be able to open your eyes and open your understanding. And there are solutions. And if we make ourselves aware of the issues and of the problems and things that are going on, then we can think about it. We can think and meditate and how to solve it. Not We can't come to the complainers, oh, you're doing this and doing this and doing this and doing this and doing this, and complain and complain and complain. But what are we doing? What is getting done? What can we do? Well, here we can um, bring to action, and we need to call to action and bring to action and work things out in our respective communities, and how we're going to all individually right now clean up our landfill and take responsibility for that. Indigenous peoples, we we are a lot of communities are isolated. Those of us that are not in these isolated communities, we can advocate and we can get non-indigenous peoples to support the building and of a national transit system that can be built by the indigenous peoples of Canada, and and can be can be owned by indigenous people of Canada. So we are here prospering, and everybody can prosper. Everybody can prosper. Everybody can make use of a national transit system that has an affordable pass, that is affordable to travel, and we can build this. We can have this rail system built in Canada, and even starting in small within provinces, um, with magnetic levitation. There's speed rail right now being built in Japan, and there's our speed rails that have been built in China and Asia, and they can travel from one city that would normally have taken an airplane flight or a bus or taken weeks to get, and they can get from one city to the other city in hours, or an hour and half an hour. If we had a speed rail technology, we could have the people in our isolated community go and travel down to Toronto and be down in Toronto or Ottawa or Thunder Bay. They could be in Thunder Bay in minutes. And the infrastructure, the pathways, the tunnels, all of that stuff is already cleared out because that was cleared done by Asian people in the when they built the Canadian National, when they built the roadways, railways, when they were brought here and they worked hard making these living a dangerous life, clearing these paths and yeah, blowing hills through mountains and clearing paths and building a railway. It's like, well, the indigenous people of Asia came here, worked hard, did this, and helped us, and so now here we are. We can have this rail system that was here built on our land. Let's take ownership of it. Let's own it. Let's make a transit system and a transportation system, and for transporting of goods and services and peoples across this nation. The things can be done. We can bring housing supplies, insulation, all this kind of stuff, and in the communities right now, if we're taught how to reprocess and manage, and we can have the technology to, for solar and wind and geothermal energy and hydrothermic energy, all this kind of stuff can be done in ecological friendly way, in a friendly way. All this environmentally friendly, all this stuff can be done if we take the time to do it and get up and do it and mobilize and get our communities and encouraging, and instead of complaining about what this is done. And we can use we can have put people we can work put people to work, and we can work and be and knowing that we're building a better future, a better tomorrow. when we sit here and buckle down and work hard today to get these things done. So I'm writing a plan. I'm getting a plan together. Just sharing my videos. I'm in a course, in a program that is going. It's called Sweet Change, and I'm gonna. It's. I I really feel that this is where Creator has me right now, so that I can learn to mobilize and get people around me, getting a network of people, which is pretty awesome and amazing. These people that I'm encountering with, and Creator is bringing favor and putting favor on me, and I know that these things are going to happen. And I really do truly believe that I'm going to see these things happen in my life, and and there's going to be success in this, and all Indigenous peoples working together, and there's going to be success, and we're our professionals that we have right now, you know, encourage our doctors, our lawyers, our judges, our professionals, our engineers, technical people. Look at them. Find out, who's in school. Yeah, we in our communities we have those people that are in school that we know that have graduated and all that kind of stuff. Well, here we are. We can come alongside them, and we can lift them up and promote them and have them and nominate them for leadership. uh, we cannot. The eugenics is over. We have access to education. We have access to these systems, and we can make the most of the. I have people showing me right now how to be successful and operate in this system, in this system that's governing our nation right now, and getting in there, and how to move, and how to mobilize communities. And it's and I'm gonna welcome that information. I'm gonna welcome when I hear somebody, who's been successful in this system, has been prospering. I'm gonna listen to them, and I'm gonna take the wisdom that they learned, and add, what creators taught me, and make what is meant to work one way, make it work for the good of all. Because when we invite creator into these things, and we can be the vessel. We don't have to force people to what we believe. We can just show by action, and by doing, and living out that life, living out that peace, living out those teachings, living out the lessons, living out the respect, walking in that balance. That'll testify. And when stuff happens, and this world, it gets cleaner and cleaner, and healthier, and back to health again. Well, we become knowledgeable when we here look after this little planet. The whole universe will be at our will be there. But we got to take care of this. Creator's not going to release us out to explore all his creation if we can't even take care of this little creation that we have here on earth. We not going to let us destroy it and move on. No, we need to work right now, as hard as it is. The consequences of it's like debt. Right now we are in debt. Okay, and when you want to get out of debt, you have to do things. You have to tighten up your belt. You have to get on a budget. You have to make a plan, and sacrifice, and do without certain things. Do without certain luxuries or certain kinds of foods. But you can still be nourished, and still be and still be healthy, and still that kind of stuff. And tackling the little problems, the manageable things. When you want to get out of debt, you start by paying off what you can pay. If you can completely pay off a small, then completely pay it off, and then little by little, you chip away at it, and then what you would use to bring down your debt, well then now you can use that to save. And it goes, and then it goes from gleaning, it goes from gleaning to thriving. It goes from lean to glean, and from glean to lean, to mean, right? So we can have meaning, we can have purpose, and looking after these things. So I just ask right now that wherever you are, get the word out there. See people around you that are succeeding, that and see what we can learn and we can do to have come up with solutions. It's time to stop. What can we do? How can we solve this? What can be done? Let's meditate and think on it and collaborate and work together, because a lot of stuff like the one use item, that's just one of the speed rail technology, with the magnetic levitation, we can have people in the isolated communities. Dean Kamen's slingshot water purification technology, this thing that Coca-Cola company owns. Look it up. Look, I dare you to look up Dean Kamen and the slingshot and what's going on now. And Coca-Cola, they are doing some things, but they're not doing. They're draining our lakes and our waters to put and filtering it and putting it in these plastic bottles and giving it back to us, and fish and wildlife and all that kind of stuff. Whole lakes are drained. The lake in the movie Dirty Dancing, like that lake is dried out now, gone, totally gone. It's all grass and stuff, to where that lake used to be in that movie, where that thing is, because somewhere else they're bottling water, they turn on a tap and they filter it, and they're not even, and then they charge us. They get water for free, they bottle it, and then they make us pay for it. So, and they can be, and the water can be filtered and cleaned and purified, but we, instead of having this in our water thing and building, like our indoor plumbing systems, like we can put this stuff back and put it back clean after we can treat it. We can treat it when we before we use it, and we can treat it after we use it, before we put it back out there in the, when we're putting our draining our sewage or whatever and stuff into them. Well, we can be putting clean stuff back out there, in the be putting clean water out there, instead of put dirty polluted water. We can clean it before we drink it, and clean it after we're done doing whatever, cleaning, washing, all that kind of stuff, because that technology is available. So we just need to ask these companies and stuff to get to get smart. So thanks for listening, and that's the one thing I say about full circle, coming back around, to being the leaders that we're called to be. We were put here on this side of the world. Creator brought us over here and showed us how to live here and how to live in balance, so that we can save those people that say we needed saving. We weren't the ones that needed saving. You guys were the ones that needed a saving. Yes, we needed to hear the message of peace and love and that thing. We needed to hear his name and know his name. But we weren't the ones that needed saving. We and the non-indigenous, these empires, they're the ones that need saving. They need to be saved from themselves, from the destruction, from the greed, from avarice, all these things that are destroying, that are killing and seeking and destroying us. So let's humbly take our leadership roles and walk in humility and truth and gentleness, and let's get this land cleaned up. Let's get this earth, planet, our country, our nation, our people healthy, and we can rise up. We can put down those things that hurt us. We can put down that needle, that alcohol, that drink, all that stuff. I'm not saying, I'm not saying, if you have a drink or all this kind of stuff, I don't say, that there's anything too wrong with that. But when it comes out of balance, and when you can't live in balance, and you're doing it to get rid of pain and stuff like that, instead of using these things for celebration, which they are supposed to be used for celebration and jubilance and weddings. Yeah, you can have things, when you're feeling down and totally depressed or grieving or whatever, but it's not something that should take over and be a stronghold in our life. And if we can learn to live, it's not so much what you take, but what you do with it and how you are and who you are. And if you can live in balance and walking balance, all the power to you. And for those that know their limits, know their personalities, know that they can't, then all the power to you. I support you, and I applaud you for knowing yourself and knowing what it is you need to do to live a good, clean life. So thank you so much for living. That's my little plug. The little video is taking a little longer than I was hoping, but you know what? Uh, hopefully the message, hopefully you heard, and can you be willing to share? I'm gonna get all my videos together and maybe shorten them out or edit. I am getting an editor, and I am getting familiar with the social media presence. So, but I just wanted to start somewhere, and this is where I'm starting, and it will get better, and my messages will be more condensed or more to the point, I guess. So, and I hope you were able to hear. If you could share, and I'm gonna get some. I have videos on YouTube, Enrique Escobar on YouTube. That'd be a good idea if you could look on them and share them, or yeah, that'd be good too. Just to get this message out there. Maybe someone hasn't heard this, or would like to hear it, and hear the message of peaceful. We're gonna have peaceful, passive. Martin Luther King had a way in bringing out the peaceful peaceful liberation, peaceful freedom, in a peaceful way, in a way, because that gentle will speak. Silence and gentleness speak a lot louder, and can move mountains, and prayer. So thank you so much for listening, and you have yourself a great day, and look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day. Share. Bye. Jimmy Gwetch. Nahau Owa. Sayonara. Arrivederci. Ciao. All right. Tansei. Nahau.